It's a phenomenon known as climate quitting. Some call it conscious quitting. Workers who worry about what their employer's impact on the climate is, or the fact that they're not doing much about it, and so quit. They move jobs, move to a company or a career that they think is doing the right thing. The climate question at bbc.com is our email, if that's you or someone you know. Catherine took the plunge, as did Gina.
I was born and raised in Kenya.
What was that like?
It was incredible. I loved it there. Kenya is a beautiful country, and I think when I moved away is when I appreciated home so much more. So I moved away when I was 21, and I moved to Dubai, and I lived in Dubai for 11 years.
Gina got a job as an air steward, cabin crew. And like Catherine, she increasingly had that feeling, thinking about everything that's happening in the world with climate change. Shouldn't I be doing something better for the climate?
I think with the airline industry, I think they also promoted a lot of just waste. They didn't really think about just how much we just wasted. So customers, for example, I'd have one person in first class and open a bottle of Dom Perignon, and they'd just have a little glass, and then I'd have to chuck the whole thing because we had to replenish every single flight with brand new products, So it was just a very wasteful industry, I think, yeah.
And obviously a very polluting industry.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons why I left. In 2020, when everything literally stopped, I had time to actually start really thinking about what I'm doing with my career. And I realized that my mental health was really struggling and I needed to do something about it.
What kind of an impact was it having on you? How is it presenting itself?
Well, we'd fly all over the world. And I remember, especially with long-haul destinations, like crew tends to, you land in a destination and you go out for drinks, get to know the crew. And I would start up conversations with pilots and with crew about the amount of emissions that we're emitting and also what's happening in my country. I'd talk about the locust infestations that we had in Kenya, which for me really, really affected my hometown. My mom is a small-scale farmer, and in 2020, when Kenya was hit with really bad locust infestation, the worst we've seen in 70 years, my mom's friends who lived around the area lost all their crop. They lost everything that they had worked hard for. And these are people I've grown up with. So everyone you're seeing their lives completely falling apart. And I knew I am partly responsible with the amount of traveling I have done around the world. So highlighting it to the crew, especially the captains and the first officers, were really disconnected from this, And I understood because we've just come out of a pandemic. People have loans and massive bills, and they just wanted to go back to having the lifestyles that we've had for so long. But seeing that they didn't really want to talk about what was going on, want to talk about how we can actually help our jobs and the airline industry transition and be honest about what little change we're doing about the pollution, the pollution we see on board, the pollution we are emitting when we're traveling around the world. It just got me thinking that I don't really have any support. There's just no support. There's just no honesty about what's happening. And me coming from the global south, it affected me even more.
You say some of the people that you're working with on the crew were disconnected. Were they dismissive of it? Were they sympathetic? Were they figuratively sticking their fingers in their ears and saying, we're just going to carry on?
Burying their heads in the sand because it's not something that is directly affecting them. And this is the thing that I've realized is unless something is directly affecting you, it's very difficult for people to actually deeply connect with something. That's one of the things that really pushed me out. I just didn't feel there was solidarity in that aspect.
So you quit?
So I quit, yeah.
And how did you feel after you made that decision and went through with it?
It was hard. It was terrifying, but with that came a lot of growth and a lot of understanding. And I decided that I wanted to work towards being a counsellor. And it's only because I got a lot of support, mental support from a counsellor, that I realized that I could actually do something. So now I am in college studying to be a qualified counsellor. And I'm also working with young people in my community, trying to help their mental health. So I work for a non-profit organization that focuses on supporting the mental health of young people here. I feel much more whole and better, and I feel like I'm doing something with my life that's actually bringing good as opposed to contributing to the destruction of our beautiful planet.
Well, best of luck with it all.
Thank you very much.
So because of her concerns about climate change, Gina felt she had to get out of aviation. But what if you're further up the chain? What if you're not just travelling around the world in polluting planes, but you're actually creating the fossil fuels which warm the planet? Meet Darlon in the US.